The days of Link collecting items key to his quest may very well be behind us. The 3D Zelda games have dropped them since going open world, and while they still play a role in the top-down titles, with how much Echoes of Wisdom takes from Tears to the Kingdom's game philosophy, a future definitely isn't certain for what was once a core element of the Zelda games. Some items have survived though, like bows, bombs, boomerangs, shields and the Master Sword of course, but others we haven't seen for more than a decade in some cases. Today I want to shine a light on those tools, the ones who have been confined to only a few games, almost like they have been forgotten by their own developers. Let's dive in. We start with an item that was a part of the original set on NES, that afterwards quickly faded and had its purpose transferred to another item. I'm talking about the candle, which only appears in this form in the original game and Zelda 2. It lights up dark areas, just like the lantern or lamp would do in the future, but unlike its later counterpart, these come in two variants, red and blue. Blue candles light up one screen only, while red candles light up multiple rooms at once. It's an interesting concept that has only inconsistently been reintroduced for the later lamp and lantern. While those have made too many appearances to really qualify for this video, they've only been in 4 games and didn't exactly leave the most unforgettable impression in those games. That said, I think chances for a return of the lamp or lantern or even the candle perhaps are definitely there. They suit the open world style of Zelda pretty well and are such a common item you can easily introduce them without the fear of it feeling out of place. Next I want to bring up an item the effect of which you are probably all familiar with, but may not be entirely sure it originates from an item in the first place. If I ask you what you use to push and pull metal objects using magnetic powers, I'm convinced most of you would answer magnesis. You're not wrong, but did you know this power originates from an item? The magnetic glove appears only in Oracle of Seasons, not Ages, and 4 Swords, and does effectively the same thing as magnesis, just a lot more limited. You can pull metal objects towards you or push them away by reversing the polarity on your gloves. Especially Oracle of Seasons relies on them relatively heavily in the Unicorn's Cave for puzzles, defeating enemies and in the boss battle against Dig Dogger. Another item that appears in even less titles, being exactly 1, is the spinner. Now, this was in Twilight Princess, which is not only more recent, but also a way more high profile title than 4 Swords or Oracle of Seasons. So I'm willing to bet more folks are familiar with this one, but it's still kinda crazy it has never reappeared in a mainline game. Especially considering its effect is not too different from the shield surfing that appears in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Because riding these effectively works similar to a skateboard, with the one exception you need special mechanisms in order for it to reliably work. As such, it's only really heavily used in the Arbiter's Ground, where you obtained it, but of course you can later also find some areas here and there you are now suddenly able to access. Now, despite its effect being really cool, I do understand why this hasn't returned in its literal form. Requiring the mechanisms in order to really work makes it kinda impractical, especially for the open world formula we're at now. But I do feel it lives on its spirit, as shield surfing. Next on the list we have an item I actually think suits the open world games really well, and yet hasn't made a new appearance in 30 years. Magic Powder is available on the Switch via the Link's Awakening remake, but hasn't reappeared in a game since the original on the Game Boy. And for linear titles I can get why. Its effect of wildly different effects depending on what you use it on might be a little too much for the developers to handle after the game started getting more graphically impressive. But it suits an open world game very well, as a tool to defeat enemies quickly, complete side quests or find hidden pathways, all of which it has done in the 2 titles it appeared in. It's such a good fit for games that want to encourage players to explore and be creative, and for that reason, despite a 30-year absence, I'm not comfortable saying we will never see this item again. Its chances have exploded since the Switch, that's for sure. Then we have a collection of items you and I as fans definitely haven't forgotten, but it feels Nintendo kinda has considering they've left them out for years by now, despite originally appearing in some high-profile titles. I'd say the poster child of this is the Deu Nuts. They've made 4 appearances throughout the series, in Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, The Minish Cap and Twilight Princess, all not exactly niche titles. And yet, they haven't reappeared since, despite being a pretty unique weapon within the Zelda series. This is further highlighted by how their effect hasn't been transferred to any other items either, making them pretty well suited candidates for a return. especially since in an open world game you could just easily implement them in the environment, kinda like what happened with bomb flowers. They may be one of the most iconic items in the series, but it seems like that hasn't helped them make reappearances. The same can be said about the Bomb Chew, whose design is super recognizable and their effect unique, yet they haven't reappeared since Phantom Hourglass. And again, it's hard to say why. The only thing that can really explain it is the wish to switch up and introduce new ideas, but we've now come to the point where a return of the world's cutest bomb feels like a welcome reunion. Now, the absolute king of rare items in the Zelda series is without a doubt Skyward Sword, which is a game that's difficult to go forgotten considering it's still one of the most recent original titles despite being a Wii game. This game had a ton of items though that may very well never return, with the beetle probably as prime candidate. Well, it has become a recognizable item and it's fun to use. It's the only item in this video that hasn't made more than one appearance in the mainline games. And with the way Zelda's going now, I think it may be a while before we see it again. For those not in the know, this item could be independently piloted and used to fly around to crash or grab unreachable items or objects. It's kinda similar to the Yowie pair from Wind Waker, I guess, which allows you to control seagulls, but that's way more situational than the beetle. The digging mitts are also technically a one-time item, but they are so similar to the mole mitts from the Minish Cap that it doesn't really feel that way. And then there's also the shovel from earlier titles, which also effectively does the same thing and allows you to dig for treasure or unearth enemies and hidden passageways. While I don't think full-on digging will reappear soon, it is a little surprising to see Tears of the Kingdom doesn't feature a shovel as something you can fuse to make weapons. Unearthing treasure is also instead done with Ultra Hand, further rendering a shovel or digging mitts unnecessary. In a similar position is the Whip, an item from Skyward Sword and Spirit Tracks, which does sort of appear in Tears of the Kingdom by fusing a Lizalfo's tail. It's not exactly the same though, as it can be used for puzzles or pulling items, and only as a weapon. I really like the Whip in especially Skyward Sword though, so I wouldn't be against the reappearance as a full-fledged tool in the future. Another Skyward Sword exclusive is the Gust Bellows, although the Gust Jar from the Minish Cap and Triforce Heroes is effectively the same thing. These blow a constant stream of wind, which is something that's not directly possible in the open world titles, although using wind is definitely a frequently used puzzle element. While I'm not such a fan of the implementation of the Gust Bellows in Skyward Sword, I actually think that's a direct result of how this item doesn't suit such a linear game. Having to press A where the game tells me to press A isn't fun, but being able to use the Gust Bellows to solve puzzles with multiple options, that's a much better way to use them. But I guess the development team opted to use less constant streams of wind, like the Korok Leaf, instead. And finally, I want to look at a happy ending for a long overlooked item. And I don't mean the hookshot, which was considered for Breath of the Wild, but trivialized the climbing. I'm talking about the Mirror Shield. Specifically designed to reflect beams and other magic attacks, this item was a mainstay during the early games. Link's Awakening, the Oracle games, Ocarina of Time and the Wind Waker all featured it, but following an appearance in the Minish Cap, it would vanish. For 20 long years, it wasn't to be seen again. Until Tears of the Kingdom suddenly brought it back. Sort of. By fusing a mirror Zonai device to a shield, you get what is called a Mirror Shield, although it doesn't full-on reflect beams. Instead, it reflects sunlight, blinding enemies and solving puzzles. And while that may not be a true return to form, most items in this video would kill for something like that. But who knows, perhaps next time, the Mirror Shield in all its glory will make its long-awaited return. It's not like its effect is impossible to implement. That's been it from me. Which Zelda items do you still hope make their triumphant return? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like and subscribing to the channel to stay updated on all my future Zelda content coming up. For now, thanks for watching and enjoy the rest of your day.